Atkins were working at Ashwell level crossing as part of the Tranche 15 level crossing renewals programme. We were renewing pedestal bases and road traffic lights, partial renewal of the level crossing equipment. On the first night of the works at Ashwell, we had a close call. Sometime in the region of 5 o'clock in the morning, when we'd finished our work, there was only 3 guys left on site in the relay room. A member of the public, a milkman, approached the crossing. The level crossing agent was not at his post. The milkman went up to the crossing and a part of the Harris fencing, which had been removed for the telehandler to get onto site to remove the pedestal bases, was left open and not secured. He walked across the track. The only guys we had on site at the time were in the REB.
I was working at Ashwell level crossing. I was running the installation team in the REB. The signalling had been signed out to Hughes, and I was running the recovery side of the job. I was working adjacent to the door, which was open, and I caught a yellow flash through the side of my eye, which straight away caught my attention because everybody on the railway was orange. And shortly after that, like 30 seconds after, a freight train passed through the site. Well, straight away I knew something was untoward, something was out of place. So I stood the team down and went straight outside onto the crossing. I got outside onto the crossing, I met another Atkins supervisor, and they'd also witnessed the incident. Well, firstly, we had to put what was wrong back into place. So we reinstated the Harris fencing, which had been left open. We tried to find the level crossing attendant who was there to escort anybody across. He wasn't present on site. And it was then when I saw the yellow Vizzy making his way back toward the crossing, it was the milkman trying to do a return journey.
And when he was coming back, was intercepted by the guys from the REB, who rang the signaller and escorted him back across the line. The milkman gained access to the site through a gap in the Harris fencing. Also had the signage on it, which told members of the public that they couldn't go across the level crossing without the level crossing attendant's permission. This signage obviously was not seen by the milkman in the incident due to the fence being pulled to one side. The level crossing agent's job was to be at the crossings at all time and look after members of the public and ensure they didn't access site without his permission or the signaller's permission when the lines are open. The level crossing agent wasn't on site and was found to be asleep in his car some distance from the crossing. On both sides of the crossing we had a bell system set up where members of the public, if the LXA wasn't there, pressed a doorbell. This activated a receiver that the level crossing agent had on his person. The receivers that he had weren't tested at this distance, so possibly we wouldn't have believed that if the member of the public had pressed the bell, it probably wouldn't have activated the receiver anyway. The root cause of the incident was really lack of supervision on the level crossing during the works. This was the responsibility of the level crossing agent or the responsible manager on that night. He was fully briefed before the shift, but failed to carry out his duties. His role was to be at the crossing at all times and ensure that the site was fully secured.
The consequences are pretty simple, disastrous. If that train had come through 30 seconds earlier, that milkman would not be here today.
Well, we take it very, very seriously when a member of the public is put at risk associated with any of our work, and so we set up an independent investigation panel which included the group managing director from the rail business and also the managing director for the division responsible and myself on that panel. There were 2 root causes identified, one related to inadequate supervision of the work and the second to inadequate control of members of the public crossing the level crossing.
As part of the procedure, we've created a new role of level crossing pedestrian escort, whose main responsibility is ensuring the safety of pedestrians when they cross over the crossing during a road closure. The
purpose of this new role was to make sure that we had somebody who's very clear what was expected of them, they were trained, they'd had the project fully explained, and they moved on from one project to the next. So it was a dedicated role with people really committed to what they were doing with an understanding of the work rather than a more casual role as we'd had previously.
The first thing we set out to achieve was a site assessment survey. The site assessment survey means that we go out to the level crossing before work commences and look at all aspects of the level crossing, looking at all the risks, the amount of pedestrian flow across the level crossing, any local events, anything that could affect the safety of the level crossing. This is then documented and forms part of the method of operation that we put in. After the implementation of our new procedures, we are now working with the National Level Crossing Framework contractors, including Network Rail, on implementing best practice across the industry with regard to level crossings. The ultimate aim is to continue to develop these procedures, working with the other contractors and Network Rail to further enhance the safety at level crossings. As part of the Level Crossing Framework organisation, we hold 2 monthly meetings. We look at all safety trends on level crossings, the actions being carried out to make sure they don't happen again, and also looking at innovations that we can use that makes the delivery of work on level crossings safer.
A key element of the new approach is to have procedures that are very clear to the team and behavioural expectations that are also very clear, so everybody knows what their role is and how the project is to be delivered safely. I'm really pleased with the work that's been done in developing this new procedure, but we're not going to rest on our laurels. We want to make it better each time, learn from our experience and share our experience across the industry, because that's really important that everybody does well in this area and make sure that members of the public are properly protected.
My name's Tina Hughes. I work for Atkins as a project manager, and I'm also a level crossing user champion, which is a role that was created by Network Rail in 2011. I was invited into that role by Sir David Higgins, who was the new chief executive at that time. And it was because I had an interest in level crossings, having lost my own daughter, who was just 14, in 2005 on a level crossing in Essex. There is a lot of work going on level crossings, and it's important for people who are working on level crossings to, when they're disabling them in order to enhance them, that they are considering how safe the level crossing is, for not only for themselves but also for members of the public who need to still use the crossing even though it may be still disabled. What I'd like to see is Network Rail and all the people who work on level crossings treat level crossings with the respect that's required, that level crossings can never be safe, that always they are very dangerous places.